There is a silent lie we tell ourselves. It is a very comfortable lie. We whisper it to our hearts when we are scared, and we repeat it in our minds when life feels overwhelming. The lie is simply this: wait. Just wait a little longer. We act as if life is a rehearsal. We act as if we are currently in a waiting room, sitting patiently for our real lives to begin. We have this quiet, hidden belief that one day a door will open. One day a person will walk in. One day an event will happen that changes everything. And then, finally, we will start living. But look around the station. Look at the tracks. The rails are empty. The station is quiet. And if you listen closely to the wind, it is whispering a truth that is both terrifying and incredibly beautiful. No one is coming. Welcome to Mira's English podcast. This is a space where we slow down the world to learn English through the stories that shape our souls. Today, we are not just practicing listening, we are practicing waking up. We are going to talk about the fantasy of the rescuer, why we wait for permission to live, and how to gently accept that you are the only person who can save your future. Let us begin with the diagnosis. Why do we wait? Psychologists often refer to this state as the passive hope. Passive hope is different from active hope. Active hope is a fire inside you that pushes you to move. Passive hope is a sedative. It is a medicine we take to numb the pain of our current reality. When we are unhappy with our jobs, our bodies, or our relationships, the pain should be a signal. It should be an alarm clock ringing loudly, telling us to move. But moving is scary. Change involves risk. So, instead of moving, we use passive hope. We tell ourselves that things will get better magically. We say phrases like, "I will start when I feel ready," or we say, "I am just waiting for the right opportunity." But here is the hard truth. You will never feel ready. The feeling of readiness is an illusion. It does not exist. The people you admire, the ones who seem confident and brave, they did not wait until they felt ready. They moved while they were still afraid. When we rely on passive hope, we surrender our power. We give the remote control of our lives to a stranger who does not exist. We are like a captain of a ship who has let go of the steering wheel, hoping the wind will accidentally take us to paradise. But the wind does not care where you want to go. The wind just blows. Where does this come from? Why is this habit so deeply rooted in us? To understand this, we must look back at our childhood with compassion. When we were children, this worldview was actually correct. When we were 5 years old, we were helpless. We literally could not survive on our own. If we were hungry, someone came to feed us. If we were hurt, someone came to put a bandage on the wound. If we were scared, someone came to hold us. Our survival depended on a rescuer. We learned very early on that if we cry, if we wait, or if we are good enough, an adult will come and fix the problem. This is the programming of a child. The problem is that our bodies grew up, but a part of our psychology stayed in that childlike state. We became adults physically, but emotionally, we are still waiting for that parent figure. We project this need onto other things. We look for a romantic partner to save us from our loneliness. We look for a boss to save us from our financial insecurity. We look for a politician to save us from our societal problems. We transfer the role of parent to the world. And when the world does not treat us kind and protect us, we feel betrayed. We feel angry. We ask, why is nobody helping me? Why is life so unfair? This anger is a defense mechanism. It protects us from the heavy responsibility of admitting that we are now in charge. There is a concept in philosophy called the provisional life. This is a term used to describe the feeling that your current life is not the real one yet. You treat your days as if they are just a draft, a rough sketch, and the real masterpiece will be painted later. You might say to yourself, I am just doing this job for now until I figure out my passion. Or you might say, I will start taking care of my health once this stressful month is over. But months turn into years, and years turn into decades. The provisional life becomes the permanent life. The danger is not that you are failing. The danger is that you are sleeping. You are sleepwalking through your own existence. I want you to pause and take a deep breath right now. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel your feet on the ground. This moment right here is not a rehearsal. This is the show. There is no other time coming. There is no someday on the calendar. If you look at a calendar, you will see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You will never find a day named someday. Now I know this sounds heavy. It might even feel a little bit sad. You might be feeling a sense of grief. That is completely normal. It is okay to grieve the fantasy. It is okay to be sad that the rescuer is not coming. In fact, letting go of this hope is painful. It is like realizing that magic is not real. But on the other side of that pain is the most liberating feeling you will ever experience. Think about it this way. If no one is coming to save you, that means no one is coming to stop you either. If you are the only one responsible for your unhappiness, that means you are the only one capable of creating your happiness. You possess the power. You have always possessed the power. The cage you are sitting in is not locked. The door has been wide open the entire time. You were just waiting for someone to give you permission to walk out. But permission is not something you receive. Permission is something you take. Let's talk about the fear of failure. Often, we wait for a savior because we are terrified of making the wrong choice. We think that if we follow someone else's instructions, we are safe. If I do what my parents say, or what society says, and I fail, I can blame them. But if I make my own choice, and I fail, the blame is mine. That is a heavy weight. However, consider the alternative. Imagine getting to the end of your life, looking back, and realizing you lived a safe life that belonged to someone else. You never failed, but you never truly lived either. There is a beautiful phrase in English that says, fail forward. This means that failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of success. Every time you take responsibility and make a mistake, you are learning, you are growing stronger, you are becoming more competent. A child avoids mistakes to avoid punishment. An adult embraces mistakes to gain wisdom. To stop waiting for a savior means you must be willing to make bad decisions, fix them, and keep moving. It means you must be willing to look foolish. So how do we wake up? How do we shift from the passive waiting room to the active driver's seat? It begins with a shift in language. Listen to the words you use in your head. Do you use the passive voice? Do you say, I wish things were different? Or do you say, I am going to make things different? There is a profound difference between the words wishing and deciding. Wishing is passive. It sits on the couch and dreams. Deciding is active. It stands up and puts on shoes. When you wish for a better body, you feel bad about yourself. When you decide to have a better body, you go for a walk, even if it is a short walk. The decision cuts through the fog of waiting. This brings us to the most important tool in your arsenal. It is the concept of radical responsibility. Radical responsibility means that you take ownership of everything in your life. Now, please understand the distinction here. I am not saying you are to blame for everything that happened to you. Trauma, bad luck, and other people's actions are not your fault. If someone hurt you, that is on them. But healing is on you. Building a future is on you. If you were born in a difficult environment, that is not your fault, but staying there is your responsibility. This sounds harsh, but it is actually the most empowering thing you can hear. Because if your misery is someone else's fault, then you have to wait for them to change for you to be happy. And they might never change. But if your future is your responsibility, you can start changing it right now, before this video even ends. You do not need an apology from the past to build the future. You do not need closure to open a new door. Let's go deeper into the psychology of the inner parent. Since no one is coming to save us, we must learn to save ourselves. We must learn to become the parent we never had, or the parent we still need. This involves a practice called reparenting. Imagine you have a child. If that child is scared to go to school, what do? Do you scream at them? Do you ignore them? No, you hold their hand. You say, "I know you are scared, that is okay, but we are going to go anyway, and I will be with you every step of the way." You need to speak to yourself in this exact same way. When you are procrastinating, instead of beating yourself up and calling yourself lazy, try a different approach. Be the firm but kind parent. Say to yourself, "I see that you are anxious about this task. You are trying to distract yourself with social media. But we need to do this work to build our future. Let's just do 5 minutes. I am right here with you." This internal dialogue is the voice of the Savior you have been waiting for. The Savior is not a knight in shining armor riding a white horse. The Savior is that quiet, steady voice inside your own head that says, "We can do this." This leads us to the concept of self-trust. Waiting destroys self-trust. Every time you promise yourself you will do something and then you don't do it, you teach your brain that you are a liar. You teach yourself that you cannot be relied upon. And because you don't trust yourself, you look for someone else to trust. You look for a guru, a mentor, or a partner to tell you what to do. To break this cycle, you must rebuild self-trust. And you do not do this by making giant, impossible promises like, "I will change my whole life tomorrow." You do this by making tiny, microscopic promises and keeping them. Let me give you an example of what a microscopic promise looks like. If you want to become a writer, do not promise yourself that you will write a chapter today. That is too heavy for a mind that is afraid. Instead, promise yourself that you will open your laptop and write exactly one sentence. Just one sentence. When you do this, something magical happens in your brain chemistry. You release a small amount of dopamine. You feel a tiny spark of pride. You realize that you are capable of controlling your reality, even if it is just for 10 seconds. And usually, once you write that one sentence, you will find yourself writing another one. This brings us to a critical misunderstanding about motivation. Most people think that motivation leads to action. They sit around waiting to feel inspired before they do the work. They think the feeling must come first. But psychology tells us the exact opposite is true. Action leads to motivation. You have to move first, and then the feeling follows. The inspiration you are waiting for is actually waiting for you to start moving. As we learn to take action, we must also redefine our relationship with loneliness. When you realize no one is coming to save you, your first reaction might be to feel incredibly lonely. You might look at the empty space beside you and feel a deep ache. But I want to offer you a new word. I want you to replace the word loneliness with the word sovereignty. Sovereignty is a concept that was often used for kings and queens. It means that a nation governs itself without outside interference. When applied to an individual, self-sovereignty means that you are the supreme ruler of your own internal kingdom. When you are lonely, you are desperate for someone to enter your kingdom and rule it for you. You leave the gates open. You beg people to come in and take the throne. because you are afraid of the responsibility. But when you are sovereign, you sit on your own throne. You welcome guests, you welcome love, and you welcome connection. But you never abdicate the throne. You never give away your crown just to keep someone in the room. There is an immense dignity in this. When you stop needing people to save you, you can finally start loving them properly. You stop using people as life rafts and start seeing them as fellow travelers. Your relationships become cleaner because they are no longer based on desperation. They are based on choice. Now, let us address the fear of the future. The future often feels like a giant, scary monster waiting in the dark. We worry about things that have not happened yet. We play out catastrophic scenarios in our minds. The Stoic philosophers had a practice for this. They taught that we should build an inner citadel. An inner citadel is a fortress inside your mind that no external event can shake. Building this fortress requires you to accept a simple truth. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. If you lose your job, no rescuer will swoop in and give you a check. That is the bad news. But the good news is that you have the resilience to find a new path. You have the skills to learn. You have the grit to survive. Trusting yourself does not mean believing that bad things will never happen. Trusting yourself means knowing that when bad things happen, you will be able to handle them. It is a shift from "I hope I am safe" to "I know I am capable." So, let us go back to the train station where we started this journey. You are sitting on the bench. You have been waiting for years. You have been checking your watch. You have been looking down the tracks for a train that is never going to arrive. Now, you have a choice. You can stay on this bench. You can keep passive hope alive. You can continue to be angry at the world for not sending the train. That is your right. No one can force you to move. Or you can stand up. You can pick up your bags. You can look at the empty tracks one last time, not with anger, but with understanding. You can say goodbye to the fantasy. You can say goodbye to the child inside who is scared. And then you can turn around and walk out of the station. The world outside the station is messy. It is loud. It is unpredictable. But it is real, and it is yours. No one is coming to save your future. And that is the most beautiful gift the universe could ever give you, because it means the future belongs entirely to you. Thank you for listening to Mira's English podcast. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to do one small thing today. Not a big thing, just one small act that proves to yourself that you are in charge. Take care of yourself, and remember, the hero you are waiting for is looking back at you in the mirror.